Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 94 of Direwolf20's Let's Play series. Last episode, we got our Draconic Evolution Reactor up and running. And after playing around with it and purposely avoiding spoilers online to figure out how it works, I, for the most part, figured out how it worked. So then I went online between last episode and this one and checked, and I'm pretty much correct. I figured it out pretty much on my own, which I'm quite proud of. So how does this reactor work? Now we're switching back to the tutorial mode of this series. Basically, what happens is there is core temperature, which is your heat. The hotter the reactor gets, the more energy it produces. And also, the more dangerous things get. Higher temperature equals higher chance for explosion. Simple, straightforward. Just like other reactor mods, where the hotter they get, the more energy they produce. Same concept, right? Containment field strength. This is exactly like it says on the tin. This is how strong your containment field is. It can be anywhere between 0.1, I presume, and 100. Now, the higher it is, the more energy it takes. And the lower it is, the better, because it means it takes less energy. But if it does happen to drop to, let's say, 0%, then you're going to have a big boom. And boom is bad, because boom means goodbye base. So you don't want that to happen. But you also don't want to feed it an infinite amount of power, because the more power you give it, the more it costs. It even says so on the field input rate. As field strength increases, this will increase exponentially. So the reactor is fine sitting at 20%. There's no reason to have the containment field any higher than 20%. In fact, I could bring it down to 10%, and that would be just fine. It wouldn't be a problem, honestly, to bring it down to 10%. As long as it doesn't go to 0. That's when things start to become dangerous. Cool. So containment field strength is pretty much the strength of the field containing the reaction, preventing a giant explosion. Then you've got your energy saturation. Basically, this is the throttle to how much power the reactor is going to generate. So the more energy you draw out of the reactor, aka through this flux gate that I have here, you're going to start drawing energy out of the energy saturation point. As you start drawing more energy out of the energy saturation point, you're going to wind up running the reactor hotter. So the reactor tries to keep its energy saturation up, and it's going to keep pumping in more energy to try and keep that energy number up. So again, long story short, the more energy we draw out, the more energy it tries to create. And by creating more energy, it's basically increasing the core temperature, which then also indirectly causes the containment field strength to increase, right? Because the hotter it gets, the more containment field strength we need to have. So the more energy we extract, the more energy we need to put in to keep the containment up and running. And if we don't balance those numbers correctly, we get a giant explosion, which nobody wants to see happen, especially me, because that would be a bad time. And then finally, you've got this guy, your fuel conversion level. This is basically how much fuel you're converting into energy. It's how fast you're using fuel. As the reactor saturation increases, this goes down, because the higher the reactor saturation, the less fuel we're using, because the less RF we're producing. Cool? So we are slowly but surely increasing our energy saturation, because we're actually producing more RF than we're using right now. We're generating about 128,000 RF a tick. It's nice and stabilized, right? We're outputting 100,000 through here, and we're allowing about 36.5 through there. Pretty neat. So I think this whole thing is cool. So my plan for today is to try and play with these numbers a little bit and see how much RF generation we can actually get. Now, I was getting annoyed at how fast I was flying, and now that I have to fly back to my base, I am less annoyed at how fast I was flying, because I missed that high-speed flight. So over here, we're generating, like I said, about 100,000 RF a tick, which is actually a really good number. I got nothing to complain about, but I kind of want to see how far I can push this reactor. And see if we can bump it up a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change some numbers here and see how that affects things. So I'm going to flip this to 200,000 RF a tick to output when you're receiving a high redstone signal. In fact, let's make it a nice round 250. Now, because I'm going to be bumping that up, I think we're going to need to feed more energy into this. So what I'm going to do, so to keep it at 20%, right, at 100,000, so let's double this and make it 80,000? Does that sound fair for now? And we'll see what happens. So right now we have a net gain of about 100. If we activate our redstone signals, it'll be 250 minus 80 over here, which should be a good number to see what happens. And I think will be cool. I think. So I think I'm going to activate this, right? And we'll see what happens. So when I activate this lever first, we're going to start putting more of a drain on our reactor. Right? And we can see that because our energy saturation starts to drop, so therefore our energy generation starts to increase to compensate for how much energy we're drawing out, right? Now, in tandem, our containment field strength starts to drop, and our field input rate starts to increase because our core temperature is going up. We're drawing out more energy, more core temperature increasing to generate more power to compensate for the energy draw we're making, and as a result, we need to feed more energy into the field strength to make it safe. So I'm going to activate this dude, which bumps it up to 80,000 RF a tick is allowed to go in there, right? So because we just allowed 80,000 RF a tick to go into our containment field, we're going to be boosting the amount of containment field strength that we get, right? We're allowing more energy to field into the shield to keep it up and running. That's pretty much the gist, I think. So we're going to see what happens. So in theory, we should get to a point where our core temperature is going up higher. Now our field containment, right, what's going to start to happen is this is going to balance out right around our field input of 80,000, right? Because that's what I allowed this to feed in, right? So with that at 80,000, what I think we're going to start to see is this thing is going to stop climbing and it's going to start to balance out. And ideally, our energy generation is going to kind of balance itself a little bit. Now, where is this dude bound to? Are you still bound? Whoosh, over here. Because I'd like you to be. Okay, zoom. Because I'd like this to be self-contained. Well, I kind of want it to be self-contained. I'm actually not sure if I want it to be self-contained. But for numbers reasoning, I would like it to be. So field input rate, in order to keep it at its current number, needs to be at 82,000. I'm only feeding it 80,000, right? So the field strength is going to start to drop a little bit. But hopefully our generation gets to a point where we're in good shape, right? And remember, 8,000 is the danger number. So we don't want our core temperature to go above 8,000. That would be bad. Because I think that's when things start to get a little bit out of control in terms of containment field and all that stuff. So 8,000 core temperature is bad times, right? So energy saturation continues to drop. As a result, our generation is going up to try and compensate for that. And therefore, in order to generate more, we need more core temperature, right? So everything seems to be doing exactly what I would have thought it would do. And I want to see at which point we stabilize this field input strength, right? Because field input's going to drop a little bit. But I think we're actually like really cool here. And I am pleased. Take that, witch, with how this is working out. Nice. So our containment field's sitting around 25%. Remember, the core temperature is going to continue to go up until our generation of RF stabilizes, which we should be getting pretty close to, right? So I did 250 here, and I've got 80 here. If we really want to make these numbers make perfect sense, so I think this thing is getting half of its power from the reactor, and half of it is coming from the orb, right, back at our base. Which I kind of have, you know, a little bit on purpose. What I might want to do is make another flux gate here that buffers the energy coming from the base, and I can completely turn it off as needed with a redstone signal. And I think that would be kind of cool. It's kind of a neat idea. So you should be okay, right? So generation is continuing to climb, but it looks like it's starting to stabilize-ish. And field input, obviously the containment field is going down a little bit, but that also looks good. I think we're stabilizing this reaction, right? Because we're doing, let's say it's 250 here, and if you're really getting half, then it should be 290 is about what we're generating. And that should be our balancing point. And we'll kind of see where that balances out at. Now, if I cut off the reactor there, we're going to need to be generating a little bit more. We're going to be needing to do like 330. If we're going to still stick 80,000 as the input there. So I think we'll be safe here. Are you stabilizing? A little bit. I want to go get a couple more flux gates. In fact, to the point where I would like to teach this thing how to make flux gates, because I kind of like those things. And let's hope nothing explodes while I'm gone. Oh, patterns, please. Flux gate. And you do know how to make comparators, I'm sure, but potentiometers shouldn't be a problem. Missing draconium dust. Of course we are. Of course we are. Sag mill it up, please. Would you? Can you not sag mill draconium? You can crusher it, but that's a little bit slow. Yeah, see, that's part of the problem with auto-processing draconium. You do actually need draconium dust for a few things. So I'll just make a bunch of potentiometers. Does that sound cool? And we'll get a couple more flux gates. And then what I would also like to have here then is a couple draconic energy crystals. Let's get a relay so that I can just make 2 of these. You guys were supposed to go into that thingy. Whoosh! Back over here. How's everything doing, guys? So field strength is sitting around 14.3. To keep that input rate good, we need to be at 80,000, so that's cool. So what I'd like to do for a moment, right? So let's release this redstone signal. This will filter it so it's only allowing 100,000 RF out. That's going to start increasing our energy saturation, which brings down the core temperature, brings up the field containment strength because it doesn't need as much RF to maintain, so that I can swap this out. So what I'd like to do then is have a flux gate kind of sit right here. Wrong direction. I think if I shift click you, it'll be facing my way now. Cool, right? And what I'm going to do is put this guy and this guy, and you're going to be outputting, right? Because this is output into the machine. This should be input. And I'm going to be redstone signal on low is 0, high we'll make it like 80,000. Cool. And a lever would have been a smart thing to bring with me. Whoosh. Do like how fast I fly with this armor. Can't lie about that. Cool. And then what I'm going to do, you should be bound over here still. So right now we're kind of wasting energy, right? Because we're only generating a small amount, but we're allowing a huge amount to go into the containment field. So I'm going to disable that, link broken. You're going to link to here, and then you're going to link to here, right? So your input, your output, and that should be cool. So right now, 0 RF a tick should be flowing into that direction. We can see that because the beams are diminishing. If I activate it, now it's allowed in, now it's not. Cool. So I'm going to rerun you, and that should start draining energy out of the saturation again, and driving up the core temperature, lowering our containment field strength. So now what we've got is the containment field is running purely off the energy being generated by the reactor, right? And all excess energy is being sent back to our draconic orb. Cool. If we get into a bad situation, for whatever reason, then we can hit a redstone signal here and allow energy to come in from the orb to help power this thing. Does that sound about right? I think so. So the only thing to do now is wait for the reactor to stabilize. And what we should have is a total generation. Once everything's stabilized, we should have 250 plus 80, which is 330. That's how much energy we should be generating, roughly. And everything should stabilize. That's what I would expect. Cool. So what I'm going to do is come back in a minute once everything kind of stabilizes the way I expect it to. So things seem to be stabilizing pretty darn close to good. We're about 10% of our field containment strength, which is not a bad place, right? I might want to kind of stop it there, but we'll see. I'm thinking 82,000 is where I'm going to wind up being. So let's hit save on that. So we should be allowing 82,000 RF into the thing, and we can see it should be kind of going good. Yeah, that should stabilize right around there-ish. That's looking pretty nice. Now I want to play with this redstone control a little bit. So we'll output a signal from 0 to 15 as temperature rises up to 10,000. Shield. We'll output a signal from 0 to 15 as shield strength fluctuates between 0 and 100%. Signal of 1 equals greater than 10% shield. Cool. So that, I don't know if I need a comparator on here. That's kind of cool. I'm thinking I must. So let's whoosh to a comparator. Cool. And whoosh our way back. Nice, power 15. That's cool. So now if I put it on shield mode, this should be, okay, 0. So shield's at, it's below 10%. That's why it's like that. We can also measure saturation and conversion as well. So shield's really the one I want to kind of be concerned about, because, yeah, shield's looking a little bit crazy. So what I could do is make it so that on the low signal, we're at 82,000. And on, maybe on a low signal, we'll be at 100,000. How's that sound? Right? So when you're not receiving a redstone signal, you're gonna send more energy through. Right? So that I do this. And more energy is allowed to go into that guy now. Right? And it's climbing. And now we should see a redstone signal of 1. Nice. And I turn this off, and that should start dropping a little bit. Cool. Okay. So we did stabilize right around 330, which is where I thought we would. We're at 332 now because I'm allowing 82 in. It's kind of cool. So I'd really like to see this guy stabilize. And I think we will. I think he's going to be stable. Because we're like really close to being in a good spot here. I'm going to come back in a few more minutes. Because kind of what I'm thinking is we could do a thing where... let me go get another one of those. Well... There's a couple ways to play this, right? Yeah, I think we're all right now. I think our numbers are good. As I was going to say, like, if it dropped too low, we could activate a redstone signal to allow more energy to flow into the thing. But I think what I'm going to do for now is just bump this guy up to, like, 85,000 on the low. And that should be allowing a little bit more power in, which will be boosting our signal strength. Yeah. Okay. Coming back in a minute. So right now, sitting around the 11% mark, we're getting a redstone signal strength of 1. What I'd like to do is invert that. So we're getting a redstone signal strength of 14. But then I'd like to change this to subtraction mode so that you're 2, right? Cool. Because remember, we lose 1 signal always when we run it through these conduit things. So if I left it at 1, it would always be at 0, and that would be bad. So basically, as this lowers, the signal strength will get stronger, right? So I might want it to be like that, 13, so that this is a power of 1, right? So that as this gets weaker, this will go up. And we can see this by setting this guy back to like 82,000, right? So what should happen is this should start to lower now, and then once it drops below 10%, we're going to stop emitting a redstone signal here, right? Or we will start emitting a redstone signal. Is that right? Is that what I'm thinking? Right? 0. Right, so as soon as this hits below 10%, we should see this redstone dust. Wow, did it just turn on already? Cool, I think it did already. Nice, okay, cool. So that's actually good, right? And we set this guy back to 85. Okay, and this thing should turn off in a moment. Once it goes back above whatever number it is. That we want to keep it at. So what I'm building right now is a failsafe. It's a system that will detect when the shield's getting too low and boost the power input into the system, is what I want to have. Cool. Cool. So this thing should be climbing. There we go, it went off. So when it goes off, we can lower the power input, right? So when you get a redstone signal, it means your power is getting low. So we want a redstone signal high. So I'm gonna make this 85,000. I was gonna do it the other way, but then I realized I wanted to go this way. Okay, so I'm gonna turn you off, right? So right now, 85,000 is what's allowed in there. Okay, we're allowing a flow of 85,000. If things get too low, right, well, this is what's gonna happen. Boom. Okay. So let's make this 82,000, right? So we lower it again, right? What we should see happen now is shortly this guy's going to drop to a point where this redstone signal becomes a 2 and it activates the 100,000 input. Okay. So it's a 2 now. So now the 100,000 input should be on, right? We're allowing 83,200. Do what? Oh, I see. Okay. That's how flux gates work. I just learned something. Flux gates don't toggle an on-off. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Got it. So because we're giving the redstone signal a strength of 1, it bumped it up to 83.2. Got it. Okay. I'm gonna set you back to 85. So we need like a repeater if we want this to work. Let's take a nap first, and then we're gonna make a repeater, and then that'll boost it to 100,000 because we want to have like a big influx of power in the event of a problem, right? So let's get 2 repeaters, and I'll show you what I'm going to do here. We're going to change this up a little bit. Because remember, if we're drawing more energy out of the reactor has to generate more, which puts more of a strain on things. So we actually want 2 things to occur, right? So you're a signal strength of 1 right now. I'm going to put this guy here, and we're going to put our repeater right here. This is not the most well-designed of dire wires. But it gets the job done, right? So what I'm going to do put it like this, right? And then we're also going to want I'm going to need more redstone conduit. So basically we'll help boost the power input if things get low. Cool. That should work. One more set and we'll be golden. Come on, redstone alloys, let's go. So what this will ensure is that not only are we giving more power into the reactor, but our orb back at our base is helping to feed that power in the event of a situation where, for whatever reason, things go awry. Because I'm still not 100% sure about this reactor and its stability, right? Like, I'm assuming that we're in good shape right now. Okay, so watch what happens when I bring this guy down to, say, 80,000, right? What we should see is this guy start to drop, actually pretty rapidly, and then this guy should boost up to a power of 2. There it goes. Cool. All right, it's actually flickering a little bit because as it starts to allow more power in, the field strength is going up. That's kind of cool. Okay. I like that. So I'm going to make your redstone signal high, like 250,000. I want to make sure that there's like no potential for issues, right? And your redstone signal high is going to be 200,000. Right? So what's going to happen is it's going to be a big shot into the containment field strength. And then when it drops, it'll get a big burst of energy to boost its containment field. Cool? So I'm going to make you back to 85,000 because that's where I know the number needs to stay. That should keep the field strength happy. And then if for whatever reason our heat goes up or something causes this thing to be unstable, it'll activate that redstone signal, allowing energy to flow in from here, from our orb back at our base, and allowing this thing to receive 200,000 RF a tick, significantly boosting the containment field strength so that I don't have to worry about it. I like it. That looks stable to me. So that's where I'm going to keep things, okay? So you can stick at 85,000, you're cool, and everybody's a winner. I think we've got a nice reactor up and running now, and it's stable. I believe it to be stable. And home, we're getting 275,000 RF a tick. That is awesome. How cool is that, guys? So we learned how to play with the Draconic Orb. Nice. I like it. I told you, I went out of my way to intentionally not do too much research ahead of time because I kind of wanted to learn it on my own with you guys. So I hope you appreciated and enjoyed that. You know, I know that usually the way things work is I come in having done a whole bunch of research and know exactly how the thing works. And like, you know, we're ready to go, right? Like I know exactly how everything goes. That's usually how the series goes. But this time I just wanted to do things a little bit different. So hey, do me a favor. Let me know in the comments how you liked that. Was that good or was that annoying? Honestly. And I'm cool either way. I forgot that I did not whitelist the output of that thing. So my ender is chilling in here now. So we're actually like back to being in really good shape with power. I'm assuming that awakened draconium stuff is going to last for a really long time because our fuel is definitely a little bit crazy. Nice. You know what else I could do, by the way? Ooh, I have an idea. I'm going to do one more thing with that redstone conduing. If things get out of control with the reactor, I'm going to limit the amount of RF allowed out back to my base. I'm going to change this around so that it's 250 on the low. Okay. And 100 on the high. We'll disable this signal, right? So now it's sending 250. In the event that things go, you know, to trouble land, right? And obviously the dire wire is real on this, right? I'm aware. I know. The dire wire is bad. Right? I want to disable you so that you don't actually do anything. Cool. So in the event that, you know, this thing's containment field is collapsing, right? Things are a problem, right? And we'll simulate that now with a 75,000 flow, right? As soon as this thing drops, all of a sudden, you're going to attenuate how much energy is allowed to flow through here. See? It just went to 110. Nice. That's what I wanted to see. So it lowers the amount of RF allowed out. That is cool. Okay? And that'll keep our reactor nice and happy. So if something goes wrong, we will increase the energy going into the containment field, and we will decrease the energy being drawn out, and in theory, that should prevent any kind of explosions. It's a little dire wiry, I won't lie. It's a lot dire wiry, but hey, I'm preventing explosions here. Nice. So that's a little bit of reactor automation, and it should work really well. It really should. We'll just have to keep an eye on it, but I suspect that it'll be cool. All right, guys, so I'm going to wrap up the episode here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We will come back next time. I'm pretty much done with my Draconic Reactor, and in terms of power gen, we're in, like, great shape, guys. You know, we do have that. If things really get hokey, we can go into the basement and activate this thing again. But we shall see. For now, its wrapping up point. So Darryl20 signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We will come back next time where I will be doing something different. I don't know what yet, but we'll see. Maybe I want to build another kind of reactor that could explode. Maybe we'll get back into industrial craft. I don't know, though. We'll see. All right, take it easy, guys.